The stakes couldn't be higher for the Y-D Red Sox right now as we enter the home stretch of the season, and Y-D hosts the Gatemen of Wareham. Hello and welcome. Alongside Will Connerly, I'm Brad Klein. Top of the first inning, Luis Ramirez leading off, or rather starting for the Red Sox against the Wareham Gatemen, featuring a lineup of Owen Diodati and what seems like the rest, because Diodati has been so good all year.
He has been good this year, but there's some other names throughout this lineup to watch out for. Trace Gonzalez, he's the table setter. We're going to see him in the box first. He's on a 7-game hit streak. However, hitting against Luis Ramirez hasn't really been too easy for opponents. He's holding opponents under 200 at the plate. Luis Ramirez has really been nasty on the mound this year, and it's a Luis Ramirez day on the mound today. He has gone 5+, 3 earned runs or less, and 5 strikeouts or more through 5 starts. Opponents, Brad, hitting just a $161 off the right-hander this year.
And that will play, right? That will absolutely play. And on the other side, it's Adam Mazur day. He's been fantastic, the other ace from the West.
Yeah, Mazur's just been unbelievable this year, the numbers that he has put up, and it's nice to see the story of how he has been able to just have a minuscule ERA and strike out almost everyone he sees. We'll talk about him more in the bottom of the first, but for now, it's Luis Ramirez and Y-D. And Brad, I don't know if you wear watches a lot, but the time is ticking for Y-D. If they want to continue their season after the regular season, the clock has to stop tonight.
It's up to Luis Ramirez to get a much-needed win. Y-D is winless in their last 4, 0-3-1 after a tie yesterday. And the righty from Long Beach State leading off against, starting off against Tres Gonzalez. First pitch fastball misses low for ball 1. Gonzalez is on a 7-game hit streak. He's their typical leadoff hitter and is 3 for 7 in the first inning during that stretch.
Also, is just a really good leadoff hitter to have because he walks more than he strikes out.
Gonzalez cracks it through the hole, right field base hit. A leadoff single on the second pitch that Tres Gonzalez sees, and Wareham is cooking in the top of the first inning.
And the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket now on an 8-game hitting streak right after his first at-bat. Off Ramirez just driving the ball to the right side. And Brad, I know the first 2 pitches in that at-bat, it was Ramirez going with the fastball, but he typically doesn't favor the fastball. Has a 4-pitch mix, and he opts to use that fastball at less than 50% most of the time.
Another lefty that Ramirez is facing, Jim Jarvis, the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is outside on the fastball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, 2 Crimson Tide players on this team do a pretty good job, Jarvis and Owen Diodati, and that's kind of that 1-2 punch for the Roll Tide for Wareham.
Diodati is waiting in the dugout for his turn, hitting in the cleanup hole. One ball, 1 strike, no outs, runner on first base. Fastball gets away from Dominic Keegan. He tried to pick it. It trickles up the right side and to the Wareham dugout, but Dominic Keegan scurries to the ball in a hurry, and Tres Gonzalez is limited to second base. There was a time there that ball took a weird carom, and you thought that the speedy Gonzalez might be able to stretch it to 180 feet rather than an extra 90, but he's held at second. 2 balls, 1 strike, no outs. Luis Ramirez is infamous for his hit by pitches, 14 this past year at Long Beach State. That's because of the slider to the lefties. The wild pitches, not so much. Beauty of a bunt, right up the middle. Dominic Keegan onto first in time, 1 away, but onto third. Tres Gonzalez scurrying without a throw.
And that's a good job right there by Dominic Keegan to be on the hop, take off the mask, pop up quickly, pick it up with your bare hand, and fire it to first base. As a catcher, you don't have much time to wait around on those bunts. Of course, the pitcher, he's taught to crash, but held off by the catcher, called off by the catcher, Keegan, who has a better angle to throw it over to first base.
So Luis Ramirez and his 2.33 ERA, making his 6th start, is quickly behind the 8 ball. Breaking ball taken for strike one. That slider dumps right into the zone to Tommy Troy, who's hitting .383 on the road this year. Infield is in halfway with Tres Gonzalez dancing down the third base line. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out, and a big swing and a miss on the inside corner. Tommy Troy got tied up.
And Troy, I know he hits third, and that's typically known for power, but he's one of the faster guys in the league. 9 stolen bases, and also leads the league with 3 triples as well, so he can motor around the base paths at a high level.
Luis Ramirez, the #1 strikeout guy on Y-D with 32 on the year. He'd order one of those off the menu, but the slider tails outside. The count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Troy.
And Troy hitting .289. He has 3 multi-hit games in his last 6 games, and he's been one of the best hitters in terms of average for Wareham all season.
I'll make it 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Tommy Troy swings, chops it foul left side.
Yeah, Ramirez challenging on the 1-2 pitch upstairs. And for Wareham and Troy, somebody who's a very tough hitter to get out.
And you'd have to think that Ramirez would want to go to the slider here. That's his best pitch, but you're going to throw the slider on the outside corner and make Dom Keegan keep it from the backstop with a runner on third. That's dangerous. The 1-2. There's the slider, but it hit him. Inside on the oblique, and Tommy Troy is on first base with a free pass. Runners on the corners, 1 out for Owen Diodati.
And not only Owen Diodati with runners on the corners and 1 out, but it's in the first inning with Wareham having an opportunity to take the lead. Owen Diodati is somebody who is 2nd in the league in runs driven in with 22, and he's right behind Chase DeLauder and Tyler Locklear, both on Orleans, for the most home runs in the league as well. So tough situation right here. And Brad, Y-D's no stranger to seeing Owen Diodati hit home runs off Y-D. He has a couple of them over the past 2 times that Wareham and Y-D have clashed.
Owen Diodati coming off the first off day of the season. He's been struggling this past month after what was a historic June. Owen Diodati hitting .361 in that first month, has hit just .203 in July. 1 ball, no strikes to Owen Diodati from Alabama. Runners on the corners with 1 out. Tres Gonzalez on third. Tommy Troy on first. And Luis Ramirez checks back at first. The ball goes out of play. Drew Bowser couldn't smother it. It goes below his mitt. And on to score is Tres Gonzalez. That's the 2nd time in his past 2 starts that Luis Ramirez has allowed a first inning run. And Wareham is on the board, 1-0, 1 out in the top of the first inning. So Bowser has played some first base, but he's Stanford's everyday third baseman, slightly out of position and couldn't handle the low throw by Ramirez. And the slider dances outside. 2 balls, no strikes to Owen Diodati. Tommy Troy advanced to second on that throw. He reached base on a hit by pitch. Wareham with just 1 hit to generate that 1 run. And the home plate umpire calling time. Frank Auditor wants to take a few beats. Big spot for Luis Ramirez. Owen Diodati watches the changeup outside. And Tom Vasella wants to have a word with Luis Ramirez. Now Vasella has actually been making his way out to the mound more and more as the season progresses, but now with Owen Diodati at the plate, you can only imagine the message for Luis Ramirez now when he's in a position he has to throw him a strike unless he just wants to pitch around him. We were talking to Adam Meyer about Owen Diodati before the game, and he told us, hey, whatever you do, don't give him anything to hit.
Yeah, and Adam Meyer actually knows Diodati. Diodati being from Ontario, Niagara Falls. They both played on Team Canada together. Diodati, a talented player who hit .230 with 11 home runs at Alabama this past season. A freshman All-American and 29th round pick by the Toronto Blue Jays, but he's really showcased his power this summer, and you don't want to let him get something he can handle with a 3-0 count. So that's what the message was about on the mound.
And Meyer knows from personal experience what this Wareham lineup can do. The 3-0. Slider misses just low, ball 4. 1 out. Runners on first and second. After the second consecutive free pass, Owen Diodati draws a 4-pitch walk, and Jimmy Crooks, the catcher, settles in. Well, I mentioned that Adam Meyer knows from personal experience early on his first start in the CCBL went up against Owen Diodati and the Wareham Gatemen. 4 runs, all of them earned, 5 innings pitched. And with 1 out, first pitch fastball just misses to the left-handed hitting Jimmy Crooks.
Yeah, and that's when we actually saw Adam Meyer, what he could do in a little glimpse after he let up the home run to Owen Diodati. He set down 9 in a row and then ended that outing. And, of course, what we saw him do at Red Wilson Field the other day, that was unbelievable, getting 12 strikeouts in an outing.
Crooks from the University of Oklahoma watches the pitch inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Luis Ramirez has completely lost the strike zone. 6 consecutive balls, a hit by pitch brought Tommy Troy aboard. And then Owen Diodati drew a 4-pitch walk. Two balls and no strikes to Jimmy Crooks. Fastball taken inside. You have to wonder, even after the mound visit, Luis Ramirez still can't find the zone. What's going to be the anecdote for Luis Ramirez right now?
Well, you can't waste time, and Y-D's actually having some action in their bullpen now.
There's the get-me-over fastball. Some preliminary action by Ross Dunn, the left-handed pitcher from Florida State. He did throw yesterday, and I believe we haven't seen a Y-D Red Sox go back-to-back days.
Yeah, but Dunn's ready to throw. He was just kind of used as a lefty specialist yesterday, so could afford some innings. And it's interesting because when you go Pat Gallagher, Luis Ramirez, Gallagher had a short start, lost his command a little bit yesterday, was yanked early, and the same thing happening with Luis Ramirez right now in the first inning.
The count now full. Luis Ramirez coming up on his 21st pitch of this inning, only 8 strikes to show for it. With one out, runners on first and second. Payoff pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. He got Crooks on the breaking ball for out number 2. His first strikeout and a king-size strikeout in the top of the first inning, with Wareham up 1-0.
Yeah, it's a really good pitch right there. Off-speed pitch in the zone that Crooks swings through, and he places that off-speed pitch. And sometimes when you come out there to start the game, you go through your pregame warm-up, and you're losing your command in the first. You get out of a situation like this, and then you can find a groove.
There's that slider, that front door slider to the right-handed hitters. And Cameron James had a front row seat. The first pitch he sees, unhittable from Luis Ramirez.
And when you do go through a little bit of command issues in the first inning, if you can get out of it and just reset, then he can forget about that and still give Y-D 5 or 6, so it's crucial.
Ramirez checking back at second. A bold move after his low throw to first, and Tommy Troy dives back. I'll tell you what, it was a very good breaking ball that Luis Ramirez threw to the right-handed hitting James. But it almost looked more like a curveball, a pitch he doesn't throw very often. The 0-1. Misses upstairs. Now, Luis Ramirez, a 4-pitch mix guy, but like I'm sure you were about to elaborate on, doesn't really throw the curveball as much as that slider. He can use it in so many different ways, that slider. That's why.
Yeah, he has some good off-speed pitches. His changeup and slider, his primary off-speed pitches.
The 1-1 to Jones. There's another breaking ball.
And you're
Settles into the zone.
To that one, similar to the first one for a strike, it seems like it has a little more north to south movement than east to west than it usually has. And it still is the slider, but it just doesn't have as much east to west movement as it sometimes does, but it still plays if it gets into the strike zone.
Fastball, chop foul left side. Luis Ramirez has already given up 1 run. The second time in his last 2 starts he's allowed a first inning run. Only 1 hit he's been scraped for. That was the leadoff single to Tres Gonzalez. And shortly after, a hit by pitch, Tommy Troy, who's now on second, and Owen Diodati drew a 4-pitch walk. 2 outs and a 1-2 count. Pitch, chopped left side. Brooks Lee plays it on a high hop. Rifles over to second in time. Side retired. 1 run, 1 hit, and 2 left on. In the middle of the first, Wareham up 1-0 as Y-D comes to bat.
For every home run.
Bottom of the first inning, Y-D up to bat for the first time as Wareham struck first in the top of the first. Adam Mazur, the ace for the Gateman, is on the bump with Brooks Lee leading off. Chop to the right side. Could be a tough play for Clark. He gathers. He flips in time for the first out. So Brooks Lee, the switch hitter, swinging from the left side today. And leading off for the first time as a Y-D Red Sox, not wasting any time on the ground out.
Yeah, not wasting any time at all. 1 pitch, 1 out for Mazur. And when you see what Mazur has done this year, Brad, a .48 ERA in 18 2/3. So it's really tough to score off him, and usually 1 run is enough for him. So Y-D is going to have to try to get to the talented right-handed hitter, and they want to respond earlier than later.
1 ball, no strikes to Tanner Smith, hitting in the 2-hole today. Checked his swing, didn't matter. Fastball down the middle, count even at 1-1. Adam Mazur has started 4 times. This is now his 5th for the Gateman, and has only allowed 1 run in 18 2/3 innings pitched as Lee lifts one to deep left field. Owen Diodati backpedals and makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, Smith into left field there. And 2 quick outs for Mazur, who's been going quick through orders this year. He hasn't needed much time, 4 pitches and 2 outs. But he gets a lot of strikeouts. He limits the runs, and it's incredible the way that Mazur, this right-handed pitcher, has performed this summer, because if you look at his college statistics, it's not as nearly as indicative of how he's performing now. He's really exceeding expectations right now.
Absolutely. At South Dakota State, as Keegan lifts one to left field, and there to make the catch, Owen Diodati for the final out. So Adam Mazer from South Dakota State with a 5.43 ERA in 2021 and a microscopic sub .48 ERA in the CCBL. By the way, Luis Ramirez needed more than 20 pitches to get 3 outs in the first. Adam Mazer breezed by with 7. Now make that 6 in his first inning. And at the end of 1, it's Y-D down by 1 right here on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Top of the second inning, Kellum Clark digs in against Luis Ramirez, who was roughed up for 1 run and 1 hit. And I say roughed up figuratively because Luis Ramirez has just been so good, as another hit by pitch is delivered, and that was a fastball off the toe of Kellum Clark. So another free pass, the 3rd of the day. 2 hit by pitches and 1 walk. This one to lead off the second inning. So back-to-back innings where Wareham has a leadoff base runner. And now it's Demeraux Harrison's turn. Or excuse me, Jack Brannigan's turn.
And Ramirez with another hit by pitch. 2nd of the day, but we've seen him hit multiple batters in various outings throughout this season.
Now, we said in the first inning it was definitely part of his repertoire and his scouting report. And Wareham read that book as well. Big swing and a miss by Brannigan. No balls and 2 strikes to Brannigan, with a runner on first after that free pass. No outs, top of the second inning. Wareham up by 1. This could be a double play ball. Caromed off the mid of Ramirez to Hoffman. On to Lee for 1, and the relay throw not in time. So what could have been a 1-4-6-3 double play ends up being a 1-4-6-3 fielder's choice as Jack Brannigan beats out the throw by Lee.
Yeah, and when you talk about the hit by pitches, if you're able to induce ground balls thereafter, they don't really matter much. And now on the season, he's making his 6th start, and he has 6 hit by pitches. You'll take 1 a start because that's just part of his game. He likes pitching inside, just like that, and the slider bends so much, sometimes it comes and hits the batter.
And just trying to figure out how that slider didn't hit Demeraux Harrison, who knows a thing or two about that slider from Long Beach State, a teammate of Luis Ramirez. 1 ball, no strikes on the slider that was way inside. Runner goes, fouled off. Right side, Drew Bowser is there. He makes the catch and tries to tag the bag, and he does! Drew Bowser stomps on the pillow and gets Jack Brannigan, who was trying to swipe second base. Taylor made unassisted first baseman double play to retire the side. In the middle of the second, Wareham still leads 1-0 right here on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Bottom of the second inning on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Wareham 1, Y-D none. Cody Huff digs in from the right side. The Stanford catcher playing right field today. And a first pitch fastball misses low for ball one. That's the first time we've seen Huff start at right field. Was Rubik's cubed around quite often in a game earlier this year. Played a few different positions and checked his swing went around, according to the first base umpire, Mark Delaney. So Adam Mazur from South Dakota State, the Jackrabbit, on the mound, and he pitched very well in his first inning. Just needed 7 pitches to get the first 3 outs, all of them on contact. And the 2-1 to Huff. Misses outside, 3 balls and 1 strike.
And Mazur, you can argue he's one of the top starters in the league for sure, after posting a 2-7 record in 12 starts at South Dakota State.
And Huff gets under one, deep left field. Owen Diodati on for a look, and he makes the catch on the warning track. So Cody Huff gives it a ride, but Owen Diodati was there for a screeching first down.
Second baseman, number 3, Wyatt Hoffman.
So here's Wyatt Hoffman, another player who, like you were alluding to, is a Cape statistical anomaly. Like Adam Mazur, 2 guys who are much better at a higher level on the Cape wood bat than they were in college.
Yeah, statistically they are, and there's many different things that you can attribute that to, but at the end of the day, it's just an incredible story to see that, because there's people you expect to perform at an extremely high level and they don't. And then there's guys you don't expect and they come through. And that's why the game is played, because you don't know who's going to perform. You can have all the projections you want, but at the end of the day, this is where you can see who can really play.
Wyatt Hoffman, a 287 Cape League hitter, grounds it to the left side. Tough play for the shortstop, Brannigan. It gets through on the backhand attempt, and a 1-out base runner, Wyatt Hoffman, aboard in the bottom of the second inning.
Number 6, Chase Luttrell.
Let's see what they give Brannigan there, whether it's an error. Yeah, they gave him an error.
Be.
That could have been a very tough play, especially with Hoffman's speed, but nonetheless,
yeah, but
Wyatt Hoffman will take it.
You're not giving that a hit, are you? It was a tough play, though, for the shortstop, Brannigan, who had to backhand it. He did have to range a little bit, but most shortstops will say that's a play they should make.
Hoffman takes off for second. Just some simple cardio as Luttrell fouls it back. Now Chase Luttrell 3 for 7 against Wareham. I'll see if the steal is still on for Scott Pickler. He loves to pull out the hit and run, especially with Chase Luttrell, which is interesting because Luttrell leads the league in strikeouts, or rather the team. No balls, 1 strike. Hoffman a healthy lead off at first. Not going. The changeup on the outside corner.
And he's someone who's in the lineup a lot. Second in the league in at-bats behind Owen Diodati. And he also is someone who is up there in strikeouts for the league as well, but we'll have to battle here with 2 strikes.
Hoffman on first base and scurries back safely. Gaping hole on the left side of the infield for Chase Luttrell, with the shortstop Brannigan shaded up the middle, and just to compensate for that, Kellum James, the third baseman, playing way off the line. No balls and 2 strikes to the Long Beach State outfielder. And Luttrell watches the pitch just outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Chase Luttrell has pretty much bounced around all over the order. Had a stint as the leadoff man post Peyton Graham injury. Has hit in the 3-hole, the 4-hole, and now hitting 6th. A .238 hitter on the Cape. And Hoffman goes back safely. But you're right, the usage has been through the roof. 25 for 105, second in the league in at-bats, like you mentioned. And I think it's just because of the way Luttrell plays the game, always giving you a hard 90, plays a lot of different positions well. And the 1-2 misses outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And because Luttrell plays very well and he can pull out the small ball, actually last hit was an infield bunt single that was supposed to be a sacrifice. And that small ball has kept him in the lineup. Hoffman not going again. The breaking ball is on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. Frank Auditor rings up Chase Luttrell, the first strikeout of the day for Adam Mazer. 2 outs in the bottom of the second.
And Mazer, he had a really quick first inning, and now in the second, Y-D wants to make him work. Someone who has 3 years of eligibility left at the collegiate level after playing 2 seasons at South Dakota State.
Adam Mazer, his 21st pitch of the day, misses upstairs to Zach Liu, the Cal State Fullerton utility infielder, playing third base today. Well, he gets the strikeout on Luttrell, who, like I mentioned, leads the team in Ks. But Mazer strikes out 41% of his outs come via strikeout. That's been his bread and butter throughout his Cape career and his collegiate career. Probably the only similarity between his South Dakota State pitching and his Cape pitching is the strikeout rate. Strikes out about 43% of hitters as a Jackrabbit, and as a Gateman, like I said, 41%. 2 balls, no strikes to Lou.
And his stuff plays. I mean, in 2021, he walked into South Dakota State and was the #1 weekend starter. Somebody that just has really good stuff, and transferring to Iowa. So Big Ten noticed his talent and his arm, and his stuff is playing at a high level.
Lou pops it up. Shallow center field. Tres Gonzalez comes on to make the catch. Side retired. No runs, no hits, and 1 left on. In the middle of the second, Y-D down by 1. Right here on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Bottom of the second inning on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Brad Klein, Will Connolly, glad to be with you. Luis
In the bottom of the second, Luis Ramirez on the mound, facing Tres Gonzalez. He hits it left side, going to have extra bases. In there for a double, Tres Gonzalez. Now on an 8-game hitting streak, and he's 2 for 2 today.
Oh, thanks, Will. Coming in relief.
Yeah, out of the bullpen, right?
Some technical difficulties there. So Luis Ramirez gives up a leadoff base runner for the 3rd time today. And now a runner on second. 1 ball, no strikes, no outs to Jim Jarvis. It's also the second hit of the day for Tres Gonzalez. Jarvis hit into a sac bunt his last time up. 2 balls, no strikes. Now, it's pretty rare that you see shifts in the Cape Cod League, mostly because of scouting, player developmental league, what have you, but it seems like Y-D might be playing Jarvis to pull as a slider just leaves the hands of Luis Ramirez. A nice play by Keegan to range to his left from behind the plate. That slider never broke, and it was never close to the zone, and Dom Keegan recognized.
That is behind so many catchers, but Keegan just popped up, got up to his left in time. His ability to recognize that right out of the hand, because that was nowhere near the strike zone in the other batter's box, but Keegan was able to keep it in front of him.
Fastball for strike 1. Now, Y-D has been lucky to have 2 catchers who catch at a very high level defensively. Cody Huff playing right field today, and now Dom Keegan has proven himself. The 3-1 to Jarvis. Fastball misses low, ball 4. Already the 4th free pass that Luis Ramirez has allowed. 2 walks and 2 hit batsmen. A double and a walk put runners on first and second for Tommy Troy.
And Ramirez was able to face the minimum in the second after getting the double play and working around the hit by pitch. But now with 2 runners aboard here,
Troy shows bunt and pulls back at the slider low and away. The biggest head scratcher to me with Luis Ramirez today is that he's having trouble finding the zone. Has thrown, now it's 40 pitches, only 19 of them for a strike. And the 1-0 to Troy. Grounded left side, could be 2. Lee on to second, and it's wide. Wyatt Hoffman couldn't corral the wide throw. It trickles into right field. Tres Gonzalez comes around to score, and Jim Jarvis is held up at third. What could have been a double play off the bat of Tommy Troy now results in runners on second and third. Still no one out for the big bad Owen Diodati.
yeah, rare error there committed by Brooks Lee. Gathered it, but then threw it wide, and a run comes across to score, and now you got an RBI machine coming up with runners on second and third and nobody out.
And Luis Ramirez having a word with Dominic Keegan. The action in the bullpen for the Red Sox only getting faster with Ross Dunn kicking it into 5th gear.
Yeah, and when you look at that situation, Pickler thinks he's seen enough now. Ross Dunn, probably the pitcher that's going to come in.
Ross Dunn, his name has been called. The lefty from Florida State, inheriting runners on second and third and a 2-run deficit next on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network.
Back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Ross Dunn to the mound. Runners on second and third. And a 2-0 lead for Wareham with Owen Diodati at the plate. With runners on second and third, one of the more dangerous hitters in the league. And first offering to him, taken low by Ross Dunn, who is making appearances in back-to-back days, but only faced one batter yesterday, was really just used as a lefty specialist. Only had 4 pitches tossed yesterday, making his 8th appearance for Y-D.
Now Ross Dunn at this point has been used so many different ways.
Yeah, he's been used as a starter. He's been used in short relief situations, back-end situations. But right now, facing the left-handed power hitter Owen Diodati, 3rd in the league in home runs, 2nd in RBIs. And the Alabama slugger, a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Takes the breaking ball low. But it's a crucial situation, already trailing by 2 runs. Ross Dunn coming in with nobody out here in the top of the 3rd, 1 already across, working to Owen Diodati. The 2-1 swing and a miss, and now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Diodati hitting .254 on the year, 7 homers, 22 runs driven in. While Ross Dunn has a .261 ERA, and in 10 1/3 innings has 20 strikeouts. And he wants to dial a strikeout up here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 runners aboard the pitch. Swing and a miss. And Owen Diodati swings through the fastball from Ross Dunn. And there's 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. And we know Ross Dunn has a good fastball. He's been up to 97, 98 miles per hour. And the lefty in this situation facing a slew of lefties in the order for Wareham, trying to dial up that fastball and get out of a jam here in the 3rd out of the bullpen.
Well, it's still not out of it, right? The infield still halfway in, 1 out.
Swing and a miss, first offering. He isn't out of it. Still 2 more outs to get. When you've got a runner at 3rd and nobody out, man,
but that's a big strikeout.
Huge
right?
strikeout.
And now you facing another lefty. This is exactly what Pickler wants. Another strikeout victim, too.
And strike 2 called to Jimmy Crooks, who struck out last time swinging against Luis Ramirez. But it was a huge strikeout, not only because he had runners on second and third and nobody out, but it was a man in Owen Diodati who can punish the baseball, and they're able to get him out. And the 0-2 to Crooks misses low and outside. So Ross Dunn, you wonder what the ask for him is out of the bullpen. What type of length do they want from Ross Dunn? Because Luis Ramirez recorded 6 outs and went 2+. So pitch misses low. But it's the 2nd consecutive day that a Y-D starting pitcher has gone 2+. Pat Gallagher went 2 innings on the box score, got pulled in the 3rd, and the same was the case from Luis Ramirez. But prior to that, they actually had gotten pretty good outings from Jared Lyons and Zach Jacobs. And of course, Adam Meyer, who had the 12 strikeouts in those 3 previous spots through the rotation. And then when you get to Pat Gallagher and Luis Ramirez, you think these are the guys who can really help give us a strong start. But Ramirez getting pulled here, and Ross Dunn trying to pick things up. The errors definitely didn't help Y-D. They've committed 2 today. And the pitch inside for ball 4 from Ross Dunn. So the bases are loaded for Cameron James. This inning started with a double and then a walk. And then Troy, he advanced to first on a fielder's choice, the ruling on the play. And then Diodati struck out and Crooks walked.
Well, let's just bottom line this, right, for all the listeners out there. 4 gatemen have reached base in this inning, and only one of them has recorded a hit, an error and 2 walks. It's going to be hard to win baseball games like that.
Cameron James, the 0-1. Pitch misses low. It is going to be difficult, and for Y-D, this inning right here could be a turning point to where Wareham, with the bases loaded and 1 out, can put runs on the board, or it's Ross Dunn can provide Y-D some excitement getting out of this tough situation and giving Y-D some momentum. So a crucial spot in the top of the 3rd, and the ball is cracked by Cameron James to left center field. It's a grand slam for Cameron James in the top of the 3rd, and tally on 4 more runs for Wareham. Now a 6-0 lead in the top of the 3rd after Cameron James hits his 2nd home run of the season. It comes in the form of a grand slam, and now 5 gatemen have come across in the 3rd, and they lead 6-0.
You're a Y-D Red Sox fan. You're having deja vu now to the last time that Ross Dunn pitched at Red Wilson Field. He came in relief of a struggling starter, Eric Yost, gave up back-to-back doubles and inflated the stat line for Yost, and now he comes in and won. A walk, a strikeout, yes, and then a walk and a grand slam for Ross Dunn. This might not be the situation he's best used in as a clutch time reliever.
Cameron James, Brad, or at least you look at that situation in the top of the 3rd. Crooked innings are definitely instrumental. Yesterday it was Y-D who had a crooked inning. They put up 4 in the top of the 4th, and it was Brewster who actually just tallied their 4 runs scattered throughout 4 different innings when they tied yesterday. But Wareham scoring in bunches. 5 across in the top of the 3rd and 4 coming across on the Cameron James home run. As the ball is grounded left side, Zach Liu over to first, but Drew Bowser has to come off the bag and in front of the line after the throw by Liu, and Kellum Clark gets aboard. So the 3rd error committed today by Y-D and the 2nd on the infield in this inning.
I'll tell you what, something is really wrong when Brooksley and Zach Liu are committing errors in the same inning. They've both been defensive staples for the Red Sox all year.
The wheels falling off the wagon a bit here in this frame. A 5-run inning for Wareham, and they're still going. They chase starter Luis Ramirez after he recorded 6 outs and a double walk in air. He was pulled after 3 batters he faced in the 3rd, and now the ball has been in the hands of Ross Dunn, and he faced 4 batters thus far. Got a strikeout of Owen Diodati, but then a walk, home run, and error. And there's runner aboard on first base with 1 out. Ball grounded left side, backhanded by Brooksley to Wyatt Hoffman over to first, but Drew Bowser not able to make the reach and catch, and it's another runner aboard after the double play isn't turned, started by Brooksley. Wyatt Hoffman with the throw, but it appeared as though the ball just got off the first baseman of Drew Bowser, and that brings Brannigan aboard to first base with 2 outs.
It almost seemed like
Devereaux Harrison now at the plate. Ross Dunn working top of the 3rd, a 6-0 lead for Wareham. A nightmare of an inning for Y-D.
On that last play, it almost seemed like Bowser overextended himself, so he couldn't really make the catch. It wasn't in a good position, a comfortable position to stretch and reach and catch. Now this is big, though, this at-bat for Ross Dunn. If he can get back and get Harrison out, take the defense off the field, and just try to start this comeback.
The 3-0 pitch, called strike one.
But that's important. It's not a cold day. It's a kind of a hot day. It's not the type of time that you want your outfielders, your infielders waiting and standing and sweating out there. You want to get them back in the dugout, stay cool, and then get hot with the bats.
Fouled away right side. Yeah, and that can play a factor into those long innings on the defensive side. It takes a lot of focus each and every pitch to anticipate what's going to happen. And a lot of times in the longer innings when there's walks and hits, that's when you do see the errors as well, as it's strike three called. The full count pitch notches the inside corner. And that is how the frame ends. Devereaux Harrison rung up, but not before Wareham scores 5 runs. The big grand slam from Cameron James. And in the middle of the third, they lead 6-0 on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Back on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network, Y-D trailing. Drew Bowser swinging on the first pitch, and he pops out to right field. One quick out for Mazer, the right-handed pitcher,
Shortstop, number 22, Brooks.
who hasn't needed much time to work through Y-D's order. Now facing the 9th place hitter, Crew Robinson, for the first time in the bottom of the third. The Iowa commit has showcased some really good stuff, and he's been one of the better stories across the league in terms of having a breakout summer. He's continuing that trend today for the Gatemen against Y-D.
And Crew Robinson's been so good for Y-D, yes. And he has all those extra base hits. He's had some clutch hits. All he needs to do is get on base. That's all the Red Sox need from him right now.
2 balls and a strike to Crew Robinson. Swings through the high fastball. Adam Mazer, 6'2", 170. He's from Minnesota, where he was a finalist for Minnesota Mr. Baseball, and he rings up Crew Robinson fastball on the inside corner. He notches his second strikeout of the day and has retired 4 straight Y-D Red Sox. Mazer had background as a high school pitcher and shortstop, but he's been pacing the rotation at South Dakota State the past 2 seasons. As Brooks Lee is at the plate, takes the first pitch for strike 1-0-1 the count.
And Lee leading off for the first time as a Red Sox, grounded out on 1 pitch. Now he's probably going to want to work the count, especially because Mazer's been so efficient all day.
A ball and 2 strikes to the switch-hitting shortstop Brooks Lee, and he goes down on the fastball. So 2 strikeouts to end the frame in the third. Adam Mazer is cruising, and he has a 6-0 lead after 3 innings. Wareham on top of Y-D on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Ross Dunn on the mound alongside Brad Klein. I'm Will Connerly. Top of the 4th. Ross Dunn working to the top of the order. Trace Gonzalez, he's 2 for 2 today. He's now on an 8-game hit streak. Singled and scored in the first. And then singled and scored, or doubled and scored in the third to begin the 5-run inning that Wareham had just last frame, but he's back up again for the 3rd time today. Here in the top of the 4th as Wareham has a 6-0 lead.
And for Rock.
Grounded right side, Drew Bowser able to collect. Now a foot race to the bag and not in time. Bowser doesn't get to the bag before Trace Gonzalez does.
And that looks like a mental error on Drew Bowser's part, because a lot of people are going to be wondering, well, what was Bowser doing? Why wasn't he running as soon as the ball hit his mitt? He was expecting Ross Dunn to cover, and Dunn should have. Anytime there's a play to the first baseman that is anything but routine, it's on the pitcher to make his way over and at least offer himself up as a target.
So Dunn now working to Jarvis, the designated hitter from Alabama.
And it should also be noted, though, that that's an infield single for Tres Gonzalez.
Yeah, and on the stats right now, Wareham with 4 hits, 3 of them for Trace Gonzalez, as he's aboard on first base for an infield single. Taken for a strike, and the Georgia Tech leadoff hitter. He's been an impressive player from Georgia Tech so far this year. There's been a handful of them throughout this league. The 1-1 pitch misses low from Ross Dunn. 2 balls and a strike. Jarvis at the plate. Here in the top of the 4th, Y-D in a 6-0 hole right now. Swing and a miss, and now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jim Jarvis, who has hits in 9 of his last 10 games. Hitting .268 on the season. And the left-handed hitter, he advanced Gonzalez over last time at the plate, grounds it over to Wyatt Hoffman, this time to Bowser, and grounds out. So it works as the same thing he did in the first when he laid down a bunt. Dominic Keegan made the play. Then he walked in the 3rd, grounds out to Wyatt Hoffman here in the top of the 4th, and that brings up Tommy Troy, who was hit by Luis Ramirez in the 1st. And then actually after his at-bat in the 3rd, that's what pulled Y-D's starter after Brooks Lee committed an error over at shortstop. So Ross Dunn looking into Dominic Keegan with Y-D trailing 6-0. Both teams right now hungry for victories. They're both on the outside looking in their respective divisions. Y-D in 3rd place in the East, and Wareham in 3rd place in the West. However, Wareham, they're in a tighter race as Harwich has extended themselves away from Y-D a little bit in the Eastern Division standings compared to what it looks like in the West. Of course, everyone trailing Bourne, who's had one of the best seasons that the Cape League has seen. They're 21-4-3 with 45 points right now after they had a rare loss last time they were playing. But Falmouth, Wareham, and Catuit, they're all just separated by 1 point.
Yeah, and the Gatemen have just a 2% edge on Y-D in the point percentage category, which is the metric they are using now in the CCBL to calculate standings, with different games being played at different rates because of COVID-19. No makeups for rain, so different amount of games being played throughout the league, throughout the different teams. So it's point percentage, but at the same time, Wareham is in a much better spot. Like you mentioned, the West is very close, and the East was very close, with the exception of Bourne. The East was very close until recently, with Y-D fluttering off.
Yeah, and also Brewster and Harwich have just been really good as of late. So they have separated themselves from the pack. And this week, they could clinch themselves those 1st and 2nd spots. Now, who's going to be 1st or 2nd? That's up for debate. But Brewster and Harwich each have 7 wins over their past 10 games. However, in the last 10 games for Y-D, they only have 2 victories over the last 10 games, coupled with 5 losses and 3 ties. But Harwich, who has won 4 in a row, they've kind of been on a tear and been able to separate themselves from Y-D as Ross Dunn issues the free pass to Tommy Troy. And once again, Owen Diodati comes to the plate with runners on base. In the first, he was hitting with 2 runners aboard. And in the 3rd, he came up with the bases with 2 runners aboard as well when Ross Dunn, actually the bases loaded when Ross Dunn was able to strike him out. Now hitting here in the top of the 4th, he's got runners on 1st and 2nd with 1 out. So every time Owen Diodati has come up to the plate, he's had ducks on the pond, and somebody who is 2nd in the league in runs driven in. An opportunity for the Alabama slugger once again. Time is called. Ross Dunn still throws the pitch. It was a curveball, but it didn't matter.
And Dunn doing the right thing, going through his motion. That's how you get hurt if you stop short. The only problem is that you don't want to show a breaking ball. Now, you're going to show whatever pitch you're about to throw, but a breaking ball is something you want to keep deceptive.
A 6-0 lead for Wareham. 1 ball, no strikes to Owen Diodati. Up and in on Diodati. It hit him, and now the bases are loaded. So Owen Diodati gets aboard for the second time today. He had a walk in the first and now a hit by pitch here in the fourth. That's the 3rd hit by pitch by Y-D pitchers today, as the Red Sox have some action in their bullpen. Everything going wrong for Y-D today, trailing 6-0 in the top of the 4th after the 5-run top of the 3rd, including a grand slam. Wareham has hit home runs versus Y-D, and now the 3rd meeting of the season. In all the meetings, it was a home run from Cameron James. That was a grand slam in the 3rd. In the previous 2 meetings, Owen Diodati hit home runs in both of those games. As another hit by pitch, breaking ball slips through the hands of Ross Dunn. Back-to-back hit by pitches, and that brings home a run in the form of Trace Gonzalez. So tally another. Wareham now up by a touchdown.
And that's the 3rd time that Gonzalez has scored a run himself.
Trace Gonzalez atop the order. 3 hits today and now 3 runs scored. He has 3 of the 4 hits for Wareham and 3 of the 7 runs that have come across. There's been 8 free passes for Y-D today when you include the walks and the hit by pitches. And that can explain why there's 7 runs on the board just with 4 hits. The ball sprayed right side by Cameron James. We know what Cameron James did last time at the plate. 4 hit by pitches today. 2 from Ramirez and 2 from Ross Dunn that have come on back-to-back batters, but Ross Dunn responds with a strikeout on 3 pitches of Cameron James. Maybe was approaching that at-bat with a little vengeance after Cameron James hit a grand slam off him in the 3rd. But he watches a fastball for strike 3. Now 2 outs. 1 across here in the 4th. 1 came across in the 1st for Wareham, and they had 5 in the top of the 3rd, leading 7-0 over Y-D. Dominic Keegan throw down to 3rd, but Zach Liu shades over his left to collect it. Keegan trying to keep an eye on the speedy Tommy Troy over at 3rd base.
And it's funny, Will, because during that 11-1 shelling that Y-D took and Ross Dunn was a part of last week, I think the consensus around the team and around the ballpark was, okay, you lost 11-1. Every once in a while throughout a given season, you're going to have a game like that. But now it's 2 over the past few, and Y-D is yet to win over their last 4, 0-3-1 with a tie yesterday.
Ball grounded right side. Ross Dunn comes up on it, throws it over to first, but not in time. Another run comes across to score in the top of the 4th, and it's a 8-0 lead for Wareham. After Kellum Clark gets aboard infield single, Ross Dunn came up on it on the first base line. The left-hander turned around and threw it to the first baseman, Drew Bowser, but it was legged out by Kellum Clark. And now the bases are loaded with 2 outs. 2 across for Wareham already in the 4th, an 8-0 lead. Jack Brannigan hitting. The shortstop out of Notre Dame, hitting .245 on the season.
And that's bad luck. But what I was trying to say is Y-D has been playing their worst baseball of the season at the worst time.
Yeah, 2 wins over their last 10 games. The winless stretch of 4 games has been the roughest of the year. And it is the wrong time when you talk about the playoff push. Nothing in 2 count. Here to Jack Brannigan. Y-D has had some action in their bullpen with Ross Dunn, who came in the 3rd, surrendered the grand slam. Now working here in the 4th, 2 already across, and the bases are loaded for Brannigan. The 9th place hitter, Devereaux Harrison on deck. Brannigan 0 for 2. Today, he's hit ground balls on the infield both times as the ball gets behind Dominic Keegan. Breaking ball out of his reach, and another run comes across to score. It's Owen Diodati who comes across to score the 9th run of the game for Wareham, and they have a 9-0 advantage after Diodati crosses as the 3rd gateman here this inning. 3 runs in the top of the 4th for Wareham, and now a 9-0 lead for the gateman in the top of the 4th.
Well, Owen Diodati reading the room. He understands that the backstop is a cage. It's not like your typical wall in the minors or in the majors. There's not going to be a big carom for Dominic Keegan, so Owen Diodati scored very easily.
Jack Brannigan at the plate. 2 RBIs on the season. The 2-2 pitch to him fouled away right side. Well, 8 runs have come across over the last 2 times Wareham has been at the plate. They've had 2 hits in this inning, but have scored 3 runs, have been helped by 3 free passes, 2 hit by pitches. 1 that loaded the bases, and then 1 that brought a run home across to score. Back-to-back hit by pitches and 3 straight free passes by Ross Dunn. The 2-2 misses outside. So the command from both pitchers on the mound today has been a tad absent for Y-D, trailing 9-0 in the top of the 4th. Ball gets behind Dominic Keegan off his glove, and Wareham's going to come across to score another run. Jimmy Crooks comes across to score after the ball got behind Dominic Keegan. And after that at-bat, veteran manager Scott Pickler has seen enough. A new arm into the game. We'll tell you all about him next on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. So Wareham leading in this game by a very healthy advantage, and Scott Pickler goes to the bullpen. Ryan Wildsey, the 6'3", 180-pound right-hander. First pitch is a 12-6 curveball on the outside corner for strike one. Here to Devereux Harrison, but the first appearance of the summer for Ryan Wildsey, a Fresno, California native. A ball and a strike, a 12-6 curveball.
Well, we'll see another addition to the bullpen that is just scrambling for answers right now, and a guy making his first appearance, chance to prove himself when no one else can.
Yeah, and a lot of people say hitting is contagious, but today the contagious thing has been the lack of command on the pitching staff. And Wareham leading 10-0. They have 5 hits on the day, but have taken advantage of the free passes from Y-D, the third pitcher used, as that ball smacked to the left side. Under it is Chase Luttrell, and he's able to glove it in center field to retire the side, but not before 4 runs come across for Wareham. A couple stranded, but a 10-0 lead in the middle of the fourth for the Gatemen on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. It is the bottom of the fourth, and Wareham has a 10-0 advantage over Y-D. Adam Mazur hasn't needed much effort to get through 3 innings. 3 shutout innings against Y-D, no hits allowed. He grounds it up the middle. Tanner Smith does, and he changes that and tallies 1 in the hit column as he gets aboard here in the bottom of the fourth. But speaking of pitch count, Mazur has only thrown 35 pitches, but he has recorded 9 outs. And now Dominic Keegan comes to the plate. With nobody out and Tanner Smith aboard here in the bottom of the fourth. Mazur, a right-hander out of South Dakota State. First pitch taken on the outside corner by Dominic Keegan, who flew out to left field last time at the plate. Dominic Keegan cracks this one towards center field. Back on it is Trace Gonzalez to retire Keegan for the first out
Right fielder.
here in the bottom of the fourth.
Cody Hop.
Keegan got a good piece of it. Warning track power. So Mazer working, an Iowa commit, but has had an outstanding summer thus far for the Gateman, and he's putting together another solid outing on the mound. Right now, 18 2/3, and had just allowed 12 hits and 1 earned run, while having 23 strikeouts compared to just 3 walks. He now has 26 strikeouts compared to 3 walks on the season, while opponents are hitting less than 200 against the right-hander. Cody Huff to left field, but a diving play made by Owen Diodati in left field, and now there's 2 outs. The second time today that Cody Huff has hit it to left field, but Owen Diodati has made the play. And somebody for Mazer, most of the balls hit by Y-D today, they've been in the air. They're getting under a lot of Mazer's stuff. Not typically, at least today, being a ground ball pitcher. They do have 7 flyouts, and when you consistently fly out, sometimes there's different ways to dissect that information. It could be the pitcher, he's getting inside on the hands, weak fly out contact, or it could be the hitter trying to do too much sometimes and really getting under the baseball, trying to hit home runs, flying out. So when you just look at the fly out to ground ball ratio of statistics, it can tell a story about the way a pitcher throws. He throws a lot of sinkers. The guys hammer the ball into the ground. But today, it's Y-D. They're hitting the ball in the air to the outfield today. A lot of flyouts to show for, as that is a grounder. First time on the ground, over to second, and that's how the frame will end. So no runs, 1 left on, 1 hit for Y-D in the bottom of the fourth, but they trail 10-0 after 4 on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network.
Leading off for Wareham, center fielder number 3, Trace Gonzalez.
So Trace Gonzalez, who has had hit 27, 28, and 29 of the season today. He's 3 for 3. Takes the first pitch for a strike against Ryan Wiltsey, who came in to get the final out in the fourth, just through 4 pitches. Offering, misses upstairs, a ball and a strike. So Dominic Keegan moves to first. Drew Bowser moves over to third. Cade Hunter behind the plate. A little substitution action from head coach Scott Pickler. And Y-D, the last few times at Red Wilson Field, the result has been lopsided in favor of the opposing team, as it's a check swing. But Gonzalez is said to not go around by Mike Rabideau over at third base. Frank Auditor calling balls and strikes behind the plate, and Mark Delaney over at first, as it's a 4-hit day for Trace Gonzalez. He's producing atop the order, and when you ask, hey, you had a 4-hit day, that's pretty good. But when you also ask, what have you done for me lately, other than that, he's doing well also. He's on an 8-game hit streak, and now he's 4 for 4 today aboard on first base here in the top of the 5th against the right-hander Ryan Wiltsey.
And Trace Gonzalez hitting is infectious, right? And hitting at the top of the order with 4 hits. That's had a trickle-down effect on the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, he's been a really solid staple atop the order. And he does have good speed. Walks more than he strikes out. 10 runs driven in on the season, and is hitting .286 on the year, just behind Tommy Troy.
And 4 hits, he's never done that at Georgia Tech.
He did have a 3 for 4 performance on July 7th against Harwich, but has yet to have a 4-hit performance here in the Cape either. So a milestone type of day for Trace Gonzalez, and being the table setter, he was the one to lead off the big 5-run third inning. The one obviously as the leadoff hitter, leading off the first when Wareham scored. And he singled and scored in the 4th. He's been involved in the scoring with 3 runs scored, and now 4 of the 6 hits for the Gatemen come off the bat of Trace Gonzalez. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wiltsey. Jim Jarvis at the plate, chokes up with 2 strikes, pops it up left side, and it's caught in left field for the first out. Some shifting in the outfield as well. Cody Huff in right, but Tyler Williams now in center field. Tanner Smith, who just caught that in left, still in left. So Huff and Smith staying the same in the outfield, but now Tyler Williams checking in. Cade Hunter, he entered for Luttrell, and Williams entered in the spot of Zach Liu. And then the shifting of Keegan and Bowser came thereafter. After those substitutions, Tommy Troy at the plate. 1 out. Here in the top of the 5th, Wiltsey, the breaking ball, St. Mary's College of California, where he pitches, and the right-hander, 2 balls and no strikes to Tommy Troy. Well, the batting average for Trace Gonzalez, who has now had 4 hits today, only going up. At the beginning of his hit streak, he was hitting .271. Coming into today, he was hitting .286. And now with his 4 for 4 performance, hitting above 300. He's really boosted his batting average during this 8-game hitting streak. Currently hitting .315 on the year, and started the streak at a .271 clip. A full count to Tommy Troy from Stamford. Leads the league in triples, second in stolen bases, but he goes down swinging right there on a Wiltsey off-speed pitch, And now there's 2 outs.
12, Owen Diodati.
So Gonzalez started the inning with a single, his 4th of the day, but then Jarvis was retired on the flyout. Troy goes down via the strikeout, and Owen Diodati comes up to the plate for the 4th time today. Swinging it from the left side, and Wiltsey kicks and delivers the pitch. Diodati takes it on the low inside corner. Today, Owen Diodati is 0 for 1, has 28 hits on the season, which is toward the top of the league, and it was leading the team coming into today until Trace Gonzalez put up 4 hits. And he's approaching the league lead as well. That's currently held by Harwich's Brock Wilkin with 34. But now Trace Gonzalez tied for the 2nd most hits in the league with Falmouth's Jace Borfin and Bourne's Christian Knapchak. And Owen Diodati takes the inside pitch, called for a strike.
And anytime you're mentioned at the top of a statistical category like Owen Diodati is, with home runs in the Cape Cod Baseball League, you know you're the real deal.
Trace Gonzalez holding that similar sentiment to Owen Diodati, who gets aboard again today on another free pass. And when you talk about the free passes, Brad, you tell me, you talk about some hitters across the league, guys you don't want to face because their ability to punish the baseball. Owen Diodati has to be atop that list with other hitters throughout the league, a couple kids on Orleans like Chase DeLauder and Tyler Locklear, and of course Harwich with Brock Wilkin. Owen Diodati holds that similar pedigree with the way he swung the bat this summer, and he gets aboard for the 3rd time today, but he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout, 3 free passes he's reached, and part of that can be the lack of command today by Y-D, but part of it could also be he's been up to the plate with runners on in all of his at-bats. Maybe you just don't want to pitch to a guy who is maybe someone who could lead the league in RBIs when it's all said and done. He's fighting for that crown with about a week and a half left here this summer. Wiltsey on the mound facing Jimmy Crooks, who's 0 for 1 today. Has reached on a couple free passes as well, his 4th at-bat. Fouled away right side, but what do you make of that to see about Y-D and their lack of command today? What can you attribute that to? Just something that has been odd, because typically when your starter doesn't have it, it's tougher to go to the bullpen and ask so much out of a pen when you typically ask that out of a starting pitcher.
Yeah, well, it started with Luis Ramirez in terms of inability to find the strike zone.
The strike zone is found there, though. Strike 3 called. 2 stranded in the frame, middle of the 5th, a 10-0 lead. And we'll talk more about Y-D and the 10-0 ball game we've got now in favor of Wareham on the Y-D Red Sox Network. Coming up next, we send it to the bottom of the 5th. Back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network, bottom of the fifth, alongside Brad Klein. I'm Will Connerly, but also our scout liaison, Sean Ward, joining us on the broadcast as well. 10-0 lead for Wareham. Sean, thanks for taking some of your time out of your busy schedule to come join us on the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so thank you for having me on.
Are you sure? Be careful what you wish for, Sean. You never know what you're getting into.
Listen, Brad, with you, I have no idea. Normally, I'd be excited, but you're right. With you, I'm a little scared.
Well, coming up in this situation as Caulfield at the plate right now, making his first appearance at the plate for Y-D here this season. But Sean, being the scout liaison, someone watching at home who doesn't know what that is, what do you typically do for the team? What does it look like for you helping out the Y-D Red Sox, and what does your position and internship kind of look like?
Yeah, I guess the title is not really fully understood. It's more of an interesting title. But my job is to be the middleman between the scouts and the team. If they have any questions for me regarding players' information, stats information, anything along those lines, I give that information to them. And as well, if you come to a game, you are given a roster, and it is my job to design those rosters and print them out and have those ready for you. So my job is essentially to be the player information guy, I guess, to both fans and scouts.
Have you ever gotten an odd request or an odd question that you had to think twice about from a scout?
Yes, those usually
What's the
come...
strangest one you've gotten?
Oh, geez. I remember I got a call from a Phillies scout regarding a pitcher on another team. I thought he was testing my knowledge due to me working in college baseball and all that, only to figure out by the end of the conversation he thought I was someone else entirely. So it really made more sense later on, but trying to talk about a pitcher that I didn't even have was pretty hard, but I tried my best.
Well, I don't know how you can get Sean mixed up with other scout liaisons because he's got the best nickname in the league.
Oh, I have the best nickname by far, given to me by our scorer, Zach, by the way. Let's give credit there.
Oh, Zach did that.
Our scorer, Zach, did it, yeah.
Okay. He's
Zach
the one who's
gave the
graced
nickname.
liaison upon this earth.
And thank you for him, because that is a great title that I hold very dear to my heart.
Liaison, yeah, that's how we can refer to you, and that's how the fans now are going to refer to you as well. Those who can't get it to the ballpark and see you, but those who are watching at home now know you as Liaison. But here in this frame, Pat Caulfield, he made his first plate appearance for Y-D and struck out. He came in for Chase Luttrell. A newer player on the Y-D Red Sox from UCLA, hit .292 with 25 RBIs in 48 games over 2 seasons at UCLA. And Zach Liu is retired as well, so Drew Bowser up to the plate with 2 outs, and Mazer has done a pretty good job today. I know, Sean, you see a lot of good pitchers throughout the league. Where's Mazer on the list of arms you have seen? Coming into this game, he had a miniature .48 ERA, and it's only going down as he's working here scoreless in the bottom of the fifth. What do you like about this right-hander?
He's a really interesting arm, because coming from a school like South Dakota State, you never hear of a school like that when it comes to the Cape Cod Baseball League. So when I first saw that school name and saw his numbers in college, I was kind of skeptical, but upon seeing his success here, it's pretty great. He's a right-hander. He has a lot of run in this fastball, a lot of rise. It confuses the hitter very much so. They swing under it a lot of foul balls up and back because of that movement on the fastball. And he pairs it really well with the slider and curveball that are very different pitches, and they play off it very well. So, I mean, for a guy from South Dakota State, a normally not known school very well, it's very nice to have that kind of being represented here.
Sean, something I'm very curious about.
Drew Bowser with a single.
Something I've been very curious about is that the Cape Cod League is a purist league, right? And I came to the Cape and I was told, well, it's a baseball nirvana. It's been here forever. It's tradition. It's this and that. The analytics are becoming a very real part of our game, right? And there's definitely a balance. And I'm sure your answer to this question is going to include, well, Brad, it's a balance, right? But how do you approach that balance with the players who are still learning the game on the fly and are trying to balance the feel and the numbers?
Okay, yeah. Well, for background knowledge, for those listening, I do all of the analytics for our team as well. I did it for Long Beach State for the last 3 years, and I came here in the Cape to do it and get hired for it. So this question pertains to what I've been doing the past few years. And of course, you're right. The answer is there is a balance. There is a correct usage of the analytics when it comes to a pitcher and development and design of how they should be throwing, but there is no number when it comes to how a pitcher's feeling or what the deception of a ball out of a hand for someone who just throws funky. There's no number value for those kind of information that a scout can see very well or a pitching coach can decipher.
Yeah, and something I've seen is analytics and data. That's all information, right? And
it's all information.
You can treat information kind of like food. You can use it and eat it, but there's some bad food and there's some good food out there. However, for analytics and data, how much do you think that factors into in-game coaching, or do you use that data and analytics more for player development off the field?
It definitely has its place in both fields. When it comes to the during the game coaching, that's when I think it gets a little bit too much. I mean, for baseball fans out there, the biggest example is Blake Snell with the Rays being pulled.
Yes.
The analytics had to pull him, but the non-analytic side of you says, this guy looks good, he feels good, so don't pull him. Yeah. And that's when I think the analytics get too much when it comes to in-game decisions. That's where I think that most people make the mistakes on.
But going back to your relationship with the players, I mean, that's a tough conversation to have when you say, hey, you've been playing this game for a long time. As Crew Robinson fouls it down the right field line. You've been playing this game for a long time. You've been playing this game well for a long time. That's why you're here. And now that you've gotten here, you should change this, and this is why.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I'd say only about half of our players have had a guy who knows numbers in that analytical sense. So this whole trackman machine we have that captures all these crazy analytics, a lot of schools have, but they don't really have someone to run it very well. So a lot of kids, they know their baseline numbers, they know how fast their ball spins, they know the way it moves, but they don't know what to do with information. So most kids are very open to learning about it.
Well, Crew Robinson strikes out. We'll keep hanging out with Sean Ward on the broadcast and learn more about the data analytics and all about Liaison and the Y-D Red Sox, who trail 10-0 next on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network alongside Brad Klein and Sean Ward, Y-D Scout Liaison, MLB Scout Liaison, joining us on the broadcast. And we dived into all different type of conversations last half inning. Ryan Patel, the fourth pitcher used for Y-D today, out of the bullpen. And Sean, appreciate you once again joining us and breaking down a little bit of what you do for Y-D and the Red Sox. But the time is winding down on the season, and has it gone by quickly for you?
It really has. Being out here is a dream. I played Division I baseball. I played baseball for a long time, and I've always known about the Cape Cod League, of course. And being out here and seeing the games I once watched live stream in person and being part of the team, it really is a dream summer. I've had such a great time. And trying to get hired, I've met great people, and I've had nothing but great experiences out here on the Cape.
It has been good experiences, and it's been fun so far for you, I'm sure, to be able to connect with many like-minded individuals as well that you've been able to see throughout your time as the scout liaison and getting to work with a team. You're no stranger to that. You did that at Long Beach State, but how is this experience different than that experience that you did? Do you have any different things that you've picked up or things that you've learned so far this summer that may help you?
It is interesting because back at Long Beach State, a lot of my work was in very basic things because a lot of Division I pitchers need a lot of help when it comes to just the basics of throwing a baseball. But here at the Cape, a lot of these guys are the most live arms in the country. These guys are already very talented. So the work I do is almost very nitpicky here. When it comes to Long Beach State, there's a lot of guys that are very good. Our starter today, Luis Ramirez, is a longtime friend of mine, and I worked with him for a few years. But yeah, so here on the Cape, instead of trying to get people just to do general things right, it's very much so nitpicking now and trying to make things just a little bit better, helping them reach their ceiling that they haven't quite reached yet.
Yeah, something I'm really curious about, Sean, is that one of the cool things about the Cape and baseball as a whole, especially summer collegiate baseball, is that we're watching players live out their dream, right? And it started in every kid's backyard when they started playing catch with their mom, their dad, their brother, you name it, right? I would say you're going to be hard-pressed to find someone whose dream, at least to start, was analytics or scouting, right? Something that you're doing. So my question is, how did you stumble upon this now developing and surging profession?
So I like to call myself a weird hybrid of both jock and nerd. I was good enough in baseball to be able to play at a high level, and I also studied mechanical engineering in school. So upon being cut from the team because of not being good enough, with my background in numbers and mechanical engineering, Coach Troy Buckley of Long Beach State asked if I wanted to run the TrackMan machine, and I said yes because I love my boys and wanted to be around them. And upon just using that as an excuse to be around friends and have a good time, I fell in love with the art of it. And I started getting more into it as our team, because that year was not a good year. We went 14-40 that season. So obviously I wanted to help my friends, so I put a lot of work into this field to try to help my friends get better. And upon doing that, I just didn't want to stop. I kept doing it. Mm-hmm. Coach Valenzuela came in. We started doing a lot better. Number 13 in the country, like success-wise. It was all just so great to watch it happen and have pitchers. Like, there's no greater feeling than having someone could successfully do something that I wanted and I told them about, and it working. There are times where the opposite happens, and we just say, screw it, don't do it, it's not good. But when it works out, it is such a great feeling having, like, your work help a pitcher be better.
So you're telling me that this was basically an accident, and at first it was just you trying to do your friends a solid.
Actually, yeah. One of my closest friends is Zach Bayou. He's with the Colorado Rockies right now. He's currently in AAA. And trying to help him throw his fastball and make it be better, that's what got me into this. So starting with Zach Bayou and now with talking to Ryan Patel and all these great pitchers in the Cape. So
yeah, speaking of Ryan Patel, he works a 1-2-3 inning. And Sean, appreciate you joining us. We'll keep hanging out with Sean Ward coming up next. A 10-0 lead for Wareham on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Back with you on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network alongside Brad Klein. Sean Ward still with us as Brooks Lee comes to the plate. Bottom of the 6th. It's a 10-0 lead for Wareham. And Sean, last inning you were detailing your story about starting with Long Beach State, which now has propelled into an internship this summer with the Y-D Red Sox as the MLB scout liaison. But I know you mentioned how they didn't have much success the first year you were there, but then when the analytics started to get under your direction, the success came.
That is a very nice way to put it. There's definitely a lot of reasons we got better. I'm not going to say it was me. Oh,
Brooks Lee leaves the yard, a home run for him. It just scratches out of here, and Brooks Lee now tied with Dominic Keegan with 4 home runs, and it barely got over the 352-foot center field fence. And Brooks Lee hits a home run, his 4th of the summer, and his 4th here at Red Wilson Field, all coming here at home from the left side for Brooks Lee, and it's now 10-1.
That's one.
That's one.
That's one.
Right. Back to what I was saying, though, about everything. Coach Valenzuela is amazing at coaching at Long Beach State. Everyone loves him. The culture change from the old guard to Valenzuela and his old crew, that is the reason that the team was so good, because kids were having fun. And it was so great to see kids go from treating baseball like work every day to going and enjoying practice and enjoying the, really wanting to win for someone like Eric Valenzuela.
Was there analytics and a department, was there a you before? Or was it they created this position for you and you kind of started this program there?
I was the first to be more or less an analytic guy. There was a student manager before me who ran the TrackMan, but we had only had it for such a short time beforehand, and he didn't really know the intricacies, how to use the numbers, I would say. He gave the numbers to our head coach, and that was about it. But I would say I was the first one to actually turn those numbers into words for the coaching staff.
And that's what it's all about, right? Because if you're a general manager, for example, right, you're going to hire, maybe a bad example, let's say you're an athletic director and you're going to hire a head baseball coach.
Oh.
You're likely not going to hire him or her based on his ability to understand the numbers. You're going to hire an analytics man like you for that, for example. So it's on the coaches to know the baseball, and it's on the coaches to understand the numbers enough to translate those numbers into baseball for the players.
Tyler Williams grounds out, who was hitting in the spot of Tanner Smith, and now Dominic Keegan comes to the plate. And that's a good point, Brad, and it's kind of a Sean, I wonder what you think about this. It's like you have the analytics and you have the coaching, but how do you marry that and translate that information to coaches who may not understand what all you understand, but you still have to communicate it to the coaches so they can display that information to the athletes?
That is the hardest thing to do in my field for sure. In my field, you have a lot of people who are incredibly smart and know what to do with numbers, things I would never even think of to do with players. But something I take a lot of pride in is the fact that I was able to pitch at a high level. And I think that really helps me turn those numbers into words that make sense to pitchers and coaches, because I remember having things said to me. So I know what it's like as a pitcher to be told something that doesn't make sense or not understanding these crazy lingo and mumbo jumbo words. But I think the fact that I did pitch and then went to this position afterwards helps me communicate to players and coaches better than other people can, who have not had that sort of experience.
What do you say to the purists, to either the players who are stuck in their way and say, yeah, well, forget that, I got here with this, I'm going to keep on doing this, and hopefully I get further, or to the fans that say, stop trying to ruin the game with the numbers?
To the players, I don't blame them. Guys who've had success and don't want to change, I get it. You're trying to go pro, you're here trying to get a signing bonus, I totally get it. I don't blame them at all. When it comes to the fans, all I can say is I'm sorry. I guess.
I'm sorry.
This is happening.
I'm sorry for doing my job.
This is happening, and the way that baseball's going, it's only proven that teams that do the things that I do the best are the teams that are winning the most. The Rays and Dodgers are the most analytical teams in baseball, and that was your World Series last year. The Astros, I know we know about the asterisks and all that, but their analytics are great, and that's why they're still doing well, because they know more than the other team does because of guys who work the numbers very well in percentages, and their hitters know how to attack, and they know it's coming.
Now, it seems like at this point, from my vantage point, that the analytics, in a way, is everything that's right with the baseball right now and also everything that's wrong. And you have the influx of home runs and strikeouts, and I think a lot of that comes from the numbers and the affinity towards the home run. And I guess my question there is, how do you fix, I'm not going to call it a broken game, but a damaged game? I think we can all agree that right now there are problems, especially at the highest level, with the rise in home runs, with the rise in strikeouts, that have taken this game and changed it. For better or for worse, we can have that argument, but how do we fix it?
Yeah. Do you think it's for better or for worse, Sean?
I think it's for worse for sure, but I also think that we're going to come full circle. What we're currently seeing right now is a game of tag. It's chase. The analytics and pitchers are changing, and it's causing analytics and hitters to change.
Cody Huff puts a drive into this one to the left side, but Ethan Chenault is able to work a 1-2-3 frame out of the bullpen, and a 10-1 score after 6.
To finish what I was saying, so what's happening right now is analytics and pitchers are changing because they know how to pitch around hitters. And because of that, it's causing hitter analytics to change to hit the new pitches.
Right.
And thus, we'll see in the next 7 years, pitchers will change again to change this new swing path and to change this new attack on the ball, swing angles. We will see pitchers coming in that are new styles of pitchers that will miss bats.
Right.
And so it's a seesaw effect with the pitchers adapting to the hitters and then the hitters adapting to the pitchers. And you're telling me basically what we're going to see is once every 2 or 3 years, we're going to see a rise in hitting and then a fall in pitching, vice versa.
That is exactly what I believe. I don't have the facts to prove that. Don't get me wrong.
History shows that too as well, though.
I guess I do have the facts to prove that then.
I mean, in terms of, and even look at other sports, like look at the way quarterbacks have played and the changing quarterbacks, now they're running more. But now defenses are learning how to stop it. And with pitchers as well, they're throwing harder, but they're more wild. Hitters are going to learn how to figure that out. And I feel like pitchability is going to come back. It's going to have to come back.
That's what it is, because especially with a game that's such a game of, when it comes to hitting, centimeters, if you change your bat pathing by a centimeter, that is the difference between a home run and a pop fly. So when it comes to pitching, being able to have that ball move just a bit more or in a different direction to where the swing pathing of a hitter, it is detrimental to that. That is going to change, and you'll see new pitchers come up, and some pitchers will lose success because they won't be able to adapt.
Right, because a lot of the guys who won't get affinity now is an 88-mile-per-hour strike thrower with 4 pitches for a strike. They want the 95-mile-per-hour arm that has the potential to throw 100 but can't potentially find the zone as much right now.
Maybe someone that we can think of off the bat, someone like Trey Dombrowski, who shoved on the Cape, and overall, he's not going to light it up on the radar gun or the analytics as a whole.
We actually have talked about Trey Dombrowski a lot off the air.
A Harwich pitcher for listeners who don't know.
Yes, and for those who don't know, Dombrowski. What is
Dombrowski.
it? Dombrowski
Ask
has
the
had an
broadcasters.
insane amount of success here on the Cape. And here on the Cape, I believe he is statistically the best pitcher here.
Yeah, he is.
But being the guy he is, 90 to 91, and just being a pitchability guy, in my personal opinion, what I've seen, I don't see him being a top 5 draft pick, top 5 round draft
because
pick.
of the stuff.
Because of his stuff. He's a
Okay.
great pitcher, but when it comes to next level, I do not believe that will translate, and teams will see that. I might be totally wrong. Let's make that clear. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think they'll rather take the guy, what's his name on this team? On Wareham has a guy from Air Force throwing about 99 miles per hour.
Yeah, Skeens.
Skeens.
Yeah,
I believe
freshman All-American two-way player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A guy like Skeens who has more of a live arm and more raw stuff, I believe a team will see more potential in when it comes to 4 years of development and the future of the game.
And that's what teams are doing now, because they used to not have player development. But now they're not looking for the guys who have immediate success right now. They're looking for who can be successful for me in 5 years.
I hate to cut off this conversation, but while we have the opportunity, can you give us a little insight on your boy from Long Beach State here, Devereaux Harrison?
Devereaux Harrison wearing the USA arm sleeve. He's an absolute character. He just came back from North Carolina from Team USA, and he had a great time there telling me all about it. But this kid is an absolute – he is the ideal closer. His personality, everything he does is a very good luck hitting it, I'm better than you personality. He will scream. He will make other teams angry. He is the kind of guy you want on the mound late in the game where he truly believes there is no one better in the situation. And I believe in 2 years Long Beach State, he's only not successfully closed twice. He's had a great track record, and he is the ideal closer that you would want on the team.
So a nice two-way player?
Not so much two-way. He can hit. He's always been taking batting practice at Long Beach State, but I believe he's had a total of about 8 at-bats and a couple hits maybe.
Yeah.
His success really will come in pitching.
Yeah.
What he has in his arm, it is live, it is different, it is absolute talent what his right arm has. His fastball is very high spin rate, very high velocity, and he will blow it by any hitter who's not ready for it.
What's the velo up to?
He's top 97.
97.
Yes. And for a guy at his height, because we're talking analytics, let me do a little bit of buzzwords here. We talk spin rate and we talk approach angles. Devereaux Harrison at his height and at his delivery and with his spin rate creates a very tough approach angle for a hitter to hit a ball at. The ball to the hitter looks like it's almost rising. It's not. It approaches at about negative 4.5 degrees is what the angle of the ball approaches at. But to a hitter that's such a low angle, it looks like the ball's rising. The brain makes a correction to the ball and it makes it jump to them. So a guy like Devereaux throwing his fastball high in the zone, jumping over bats, will see a lot of success in this era today of the very home run style of hitting where hitters are trying to hit the bottom half of the ball. So it's easy to miss a bat above it instead of below it at this point. So a guy like Dev has success.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
the Long Beach
no.
State insight right there.
That is. And
Yeah, I'm sorry for dropping my nerd terms on you there. But
no,
And
don't be sorry.
But he walked.
He did walk, and that's one of the 3 true outcomes that we were talking about.
yeah,
Brooks
Brooks
Lee.
Lee with the play.
Diving play made. Brooks Lee, he's a really good shortstop. Do you have any numbers on his defensive shortstop metrics other than he didn't commit an error over the last month of
3
the season
errors
at
in
Cal
the
Poly?
CCBL,
But
though.
3 errors here in the CCBL.
I tell you what, I don't have numbers, but I will tell you is playing in the same conference as Brooks Lee during this season, he is a scary guy to prepare for. He is a scary guy to tell your pitchers about. Good luck pitching to him. There's not a lot of holes. That is a shortstop. That is a player who has an immense amount of talent and really
Projectable.
Well, let me-
projectable. He's hard to cover.
Let me ask you a question about Brooks as someone who is projecting into potentially a scout role. We'll see, but definitely in the player development, player analytics aspect of things, and someone that knows Brooks Lee's game very well. A lot of scouts we talk to say that, and it's nothing against Lee's game, he's going to be a first rounder almost no matter what, and he should be. Switch hitter, middle infielder, right? A lot of scouts say he doesn't project as a shortstop at the highest level. Fans might be surprised to hear that because he's been doing a very good job playing shortstop for the Y-D Red Sox. What's your reaction to when you hear that MLB scouts who get paid to give their opinion say that their opinion is that he's not a shortstop?
That's the biggest take. Every time you ever see a middle infielder or third baseman take, or even center fielder, the biggest take is always, can they stay there? Are they able to stay at short center field, or do they have to move to second, third, or corner outfield? It's a well-hit ball.
It is cracked right side, and it's well hit over the fence in right field. A home run for Jim Jarvis. He's not the only Alabama player that can put the ball out of the ballpark here on Wareham. Jarvis, though, his first home run of the summer, and he goes yard to the right side on Ryan Patel. 2 across in the top of the 7th. A 12-1 lead for Wareham.
Now the other one being Owen Diodati, and if you're giving up a home run to an Alabama player, you're thinking it's Owen Diodati.
Well, especially because of the fact that Jim Jarvis, that was his first home run of the summer, while Owen Diodati is toward the top of the league with 7.
And Diodati is so good. Jarvis probably just trying to get out of the big shadow that is Owen Diodati, whether it's in Tuscaloosa or here on the Cape with Owen Diodati.
But they've both been really good so far this summer. And, Sean, I know that you mainly are a pitching guy, right? Is that correct? Or
That is
that's
correct.
Not
I pitched in college, and I do a lot of pitch design development for pitchers for both our team here and Long Beach State.
Well, I got to ask, since you've been able to see every team at this point, who's been the most impressive arm that you've seen this summer?
The single most impressive arm I would say would be probably Maxwell from Chatham. And that's hard to say, or
Yeah.
weird to hear, because Maxwell actually gave up a game-winning home run to us last week.
What are his dimensions? Do you remember his dimensions?
I believe he's 6'6", 240.
He is a big body.
So,
I remember Brad pulled up he said he was bigger than the average NFL tight end.
He is.
Yes. So a guy like that on the mound who shows athleticism and the metrics on his ball at home plate, the what you can do with that number is insane. Like, any team that gets him will be lucky to have him. They'll get a steal with him late because of his lack of projectability as a starter. And that fastball will be playing in the major leagues very well if he was there right now.
Chatham actually has a lot of guys who can play at a high level. How about the guy who's actually pitching for the Anglers tonight, Victor Medeiros? He can throw the ball up to 97 miles per hour, and they have a couple of live arms on Chatham's team.
Victor Medeiros especially. Victor Medeiros is a transfer, by the way, to Oklahoma State now.
Yes, Oklahoma State, that connection with Chatham and Coach Holliday.
Exactly. So Victor Medeiros being able to do what he does on the mound without, honestly, this is made hot take, not a lot of pitching ability, right? Victor Medeiros is very good with the fastball, and he's very live arm. That's what he has going for him, and a lot of scouts and teams see that. But someone that teaches him how to pitch the way he wants to hear it, it will be great.
Man, how about the guy at the plate right now? Owen Diodati. What are your thoughts on him?
Owen Diodati is one of the greatest hitters in the Cape by far. This guy hits the ball so far with a great name, by the way. Great baseball name, and Owen Diodati.
Let's just say it. At 1, 2, 3.
Owen
Diodati walks right here now, and he gets aboard once
name.
again.
It really is.
It felt good.
But no, you say he's such a great hitter, and he is. He's got on base 4 times today, all on a free pass. No one wants to pitch to the man who torches the baseball with 22 RBIs and 7 home runs. He's been one of the best hitters in the league this year. I know you talked about some pitchers other than Owen Diodati. Who are some of your top hitters? I have some in my mind right now.
There's one jumping in my mind, and Chase DeLauder with Orleans.
Yes.
Chase DeLauder came into the Cape, already a well-known name, but his performance in the Cape, I would think, had solidified him as a first-round bat. He's
been one of the best
talent.
stories, honestly.
I don't know his. Does he have a story?
No, I'm saying his story of just how well he's performing.
6 home runs this past year at James Madison, and in the blink of an eye on the CCBL, 6 home runs.
And then has 8 now, leading the league with his teammate Tyler Locklear at a much higher level. He's seeing better pitching here than he saw at James Madison, where he did hit nearly 400. He had one of the best averages in the country, hits to all fields, but wasn't a power guy. Now he's showing his power and still has a high average. But Tyler Locklear, of course, from VCU, A10 Player of the Year. Orleans has a couple of big bats. And then a guy that I want to get your opinion on, big old freshman out of Wake Forest, Brock Wilkin. How about him? I know he's one of the better hitters in the league for sure. And it's easy to talk about all this when the league just tabbed all the league all-stars. But
right. Brock Wilkin is an incredible combination of athleticism, size, power, strength. Everything that guy has is just better than everyone else. Especially at his age, being 19 years
youngest
old
player
and
in the league,
performing his entire team, that is incredible. So Brock Wilkin, I am a fan of.
Yeah,
I think he'll do just fine in pro ball.
He's one of the youngest players of the league. He's the youngest player on Harwich's roster, just a true freshman, but hit 17 home runs at Wake Forest. And speaking of Wake Forest, they have an arm out of the bullpen for Bourne. We haven't got to see him yet, but a closer out of the bullpen who's actually put up some of the best stats out of the bullpen, Alder from Wake Forest. Have you seen him or heard much about him? I know he's got a lot of oohs and ahs because of all the saves he's putting together for Bourne, who's just been unbelievable this season.
I have heard about Alder. I have not had the chance to watch him, but Wake Forest has a knack of producing big arms that produce in a big way. This year, Ryan Cusick, I believe, was a first or second rounder for them.
Yeah.
And Ryan Cusick is the same sort of build, the same sort of style, a big, hard-throwing right-hander that will just blow up by you. And Wake Forest does really well with those arms.
Yeah, so we were talking about Brock Wilkin. He's one of the youngest players on Harwich's roster, but more than a year younger than Eric Yost. More than a year older than Eric Yost, as we see Tom Vasella taking a mound visit right now to talk things over after Wareham has scored 2 here in the top of the 7th. So we got your opinion on some of the top arms in the league. And now Coach Vasella, they're going to pull Ryan Patel. They're going to bring in a new arm. We'll talk more about this coming up. But we'll stay on the broadcast where, a new arm comes in and talk to Sean Ward, our scout liaison, at the call to the bullpen here in a 12-1 game. Pitchers trying to get in their work, and Coach Vasella trying to utilize his arms. And, of course, Sean, with all the pitchers that do come on the mound, you know them pretty well because you work with them and do their numbers. And Eli Morse now coming to toe the rubber. What can you tell us about him?
Eli Morse out of Portland, Oregon. He's actually very close to Washington and has spent time at Driveline up there. And for those who don't know, Driveline is a very popular baseball facility, very known for its analytics and for the development of pitchers. So when it comes to Eli, his body is what it is. His fastball is good, but his ability to spin the ball, his changeup, slider, cutter, and curveball are all distinct pitches. They all play really well off each other because he's gone to this facility and they've taught him how to do that. They know the way to use numbers to which the hitter has no idea what's coming out of his hand until it's already too late. So even though we have a guy here throwing 88 miles per hour, when you have pitches that you don't know what's coming, that plays a lot faster.
And so you speak of Driveline. Are you a Driveline guy? Is that where you learned a lot of your analytics, or where did you start learning about all of these different ways to dissect information?
No, I went the nerdy route. Due to my major, mechanical engineering, I have a vast knowledge of physics and mathematics, and I applied my physics when it comes to fluid dynamics, and mechanics to baseball. That is how I know what I know, me applying that's data.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff on Fangraphs, Baseball Savant, websites for everyone out there, free and great information. But a lot of what I know was basically trial and error off my physical properties I know from my studies.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you have a lot of the legwork done by yourself to learn a lot of this information that now is in every Major League Baseball team, and it's very prevalent across the country.
Back in Long Beach, I didn't really have someone like me to base all this information off of, but being in the Cape and talking to organizations, high up people in different teams, and them confirming what I know is a great feeling that I am not crazy, that I actually sort of half know what I'm talking about. It's a great feeling.
Do you find that there is a growing demand of liaisons out there that maybe even at Long Beach State that want to learn from you now that you've kind of pioneered it? I know at Syracuse is one of, if not the only school in America that offers a sports analytics major. It's new and it's growing.
I know at Long Beach State we have some student managers after me that will be taking over the role, and I wish them the best, completely, of course. But when it comes to like majors and all that, I'm really curious as to what they teach you there, because I believe everyone learns everything differently. When I work with pitchers, some guys want to know the physics I know. Some guys say, "Shut up, Sean, tell me what to do." Some guys want to balance, and some guys just have no idea and don't care. So I'd be really interested to see how the sports analytics major teaches those things to someone when it's very, per person how they want to learn them.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with coaching as well. It is an interesting dynamic because of the fact that you can learn all the correct tactics and information. However, like we talked about earlier, if you can't communicate that information, it's not as useful. So you have had to learn how to not only to understand it from a player's perspective, being a former player, but now you have to learn how to communicate that. And you're kind of basically saying it's an individual thing. How can in baseball, being an individualized sport with the pitcher going up against the hitter, of course, there's many team aspects to it. You have to work with each individual to heighten their performance so the team's performance can heighten as well.
Right. Allow me to shout out some Long Beach guys here for what I'm about to say. We have someone named Matt Fields at Long Beach State. And with Matt was a guy where I told him what to do and he did it. He didn't care for the physics, didn't care to know why. He wanted me to fix his slider, and we fixed it. Just tell me what to do. And that's all it took. And on the other side, we have someone, Jerron Watts-Brown, who you will hear that name. Trust me, at Long Beach State. He will do very well there. He's a very, very good pitcher. And talking to him, he wanted to know literally everything. He wanted to know why he's doing what he's doing, why I'm saying what I'm saying, the physics behind it, the theory behind it, what he has to do with his back half, what his front half changes mean. He wanted to know every information possible because that is how he wants to learn, how he will understand it. It's different per person, and it's really fun getting to know pitchers and how they want to learn.
So I have another question. I asked you a similar one earlier in your relationship with scouts, but what is the most bizarre or even the most negative, potentially, reaction that the pitcher has had to your critiques on his numbers or on his performance, his delivery?
I won't use names
No,
because,
no,
of
we don't
course,
want you to
we don't
use
want to
names.
use names here. But there is a pitcher that I did quite a bit of work for at one point and gave him quite a spiel, both in simple terms and analytic terms, on how he can increase his velocity. And the reaction I got was along the lines of, does this matter? I'm probably getting drafted soon. So, that was probably the answer I was the least ready for and the most upset about. And, for those who are curious, he did not get drafted.
That makes sense, and of course, sometimes you get those negative reactions, but you do have that role of trying to help everyone you can with what you've done for those pitchers, and that's interesting. That's a interesting experience, and I'm sure probably not the last time someone tells you to buzz
It
off.
will not be for sure.
But the thing is, right, I think so often, and more so now, sports analytics is a study that people are really putting some stock into, but sports psychology is something that people are looking at as well. And when an athlete tells you, does this matter? I'm about to get drafted, I think that tells you a lot about an athlete like that, right? And maybe he's not as concerned of honing his craft. He's just looking for that first paycheck and potentially at that rate last.
Right. I definitely understand why pitchers don't want to hear it. They've done it their way for so long and it's worked for them. They're here, they're doing well, and they're scared to try new things. I totally get it. And I'm not going to force it upon anyone who doesn't want it. And for some guys, it won't work. I was lucky enough coming here with Luis Ramirez from Long Beach State to where, for lack of a better word, I had some clout with the players because Luis kind of backed me up and he said what I was doing was good. But I totally get when some new kid comes in and says, try this, that you would be skeptical. I totally understand that.
Well, it's interesting because as someone who wants to develop players, you can develop anyone. Everyone can always get better, but I would guess your sweet spot isn't the ace of the staff. You want to make the players that are toward the bottom get better. Obviously, you look at everyone, but is there a sweet spot of players? Because I would think somebody really struggling would want to gravitate towards you to help you out. If you're having a ton of success and you've gone 5 straight scoreless outings, maybe you don't want to change anything. Or what do you think of the, I guess, demographic, the geography in terms of performance of players you work with on a certain roster?
In there, you kind of hit it on the head because it's not really, it's not particularly, back-end starter or middle bullpen guy. Like, it's not that. It's more so the guys who, at this moment, are not doing well, and we all have seen them do better. Those are the guys that are the biggest targets for analytics because something is wrong that they can't feel, coaches can't see, and so that's when we dive into the more, specific metrics to see what has changed or what we can do better instead.
Like try to understand basically why they aren't performing to their potential.
That is that sweet spot of the guys that are easiest to work with and can get the most benefit from that kind of work. Eli Morse here. That changeup is beautiful. Thanks to Driveline, thanks to everything he does. It plays so well for everything, and it is great to see.
It is great to see. He comes in and gets a strikeout. This frame is over. We'll take a quick break on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. Middle of the 7th, 12-1 score on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network.
Hey kids young and old, join us at Red Wilson Field in Station Avenue, Yarmouth, Massachusetts, which is home of the Y-D Red Sox, for a special appearance by Boston's favorite Red Sox mascot, Wally, on August 2nd, 2021, who will be signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. Don't miss Fenway's favorite green guy, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Hey Sox fans, have you ever thought about buying or selling a home? Emily Szymanski of the Salty Dog Group is your pet-friendly neighborhood realtor. As part of the team at Keller Williams Realty of Cape Cod and the Islands, Emily is your go-to resource for home buying and selling. Call Emily Szymanski at 508-221-0196 or just visit thesaltydoggroup.kw.com. That's 508-221-0196 or visit thesaltydoggroup.kw.com.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for reading that. Appreciate Emily Szymanski and the Salty Dog Group.
Bottom of the seventh inning, and Y-D still down by an arm's length, to say the least. Cade Hunter, a big swing and a miss at the first pitch by Ethan Chenal.
And still alongside Sean Ward, our scout liaison. Brad, he's...
Cade Hunter!
Holy crap.
Cade Hunter with his first home run of this season for the Red Sox. Wow. 12-2 the score now. A little bit, small. Let's shorten the dent a little bit here. But it's good to see him actually getting a good swing in the ball. He's had a lot of struggles here, so seeing him get that swing will hopefully spark something great in him.
So Cade Hunter tattoos the baseball over the right center field fence. It's now 12-2. First home run, third extra base hit for the lefty from Virginia Tech. And a foul ball from Caulfield.
Now about Cade Hunter hitting a home run. He had a double.
You love to see it. You love seeing Cade Hunter do well.
Yesterday had the double. Today with the home run. He's putting together better swings on the baseball as of late.
It's great. I don't know what changed with either Roberto Mercado or Coach Pickler, whoever changed it, but it's nice to see these changes paying off because he was having trouble finding the ball. It was a struggle with the plate when it came to decision making and attacking the ball.
He seems like he has figured something out.
It looks a lot better right now.
As Caulfield grounds out to short. Well, I think the really interesting thing about Cade Hunter is that in the two scrimmages this year, I think Cade Hunter might have been the best hitter on the team.
Oh, yeah.
And that just changed as soon as the season started as Daniel Rivera makes his Y-D debut. Or excuse me.
Second at-bat.
His second at-bat.
Second plate appearance. Sorry, his first at-bat he walked. So it's still his first at-bat here.
Result pending.
Result pending. His on-base percentage of 1,000, though, is leading the team.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Rivera from southern New Hampshire, the Granite State, swings in, fouls it back to the Y-D dugout. Only know that it's the Granite State from Breaking Bad. I'm not going to lie.
Breaking Bad. Do you recommend it, Brad?
Have you not seen it?
I have not seen Breaking Bad.
Oh, my goodness. And I'm sitting in the same room as you, too. Jeez.
And me. I haven't seen it either.
Seen it? Oh, boy.
Brad,
Has the other person in the room seen it?
No.
No, it's
outnumbered
you're
3-1.
outnumbered 3-1.
Widely regarded as one of the best things to ever grace television, but, what are you going to do?
Well, comment below if you've seen it. Let us know if Brad is right.
Rivera puts a jolt into one. It falls to left center field for a base hit. A one-out single for the southern New Hampshireer, Daniel Rivera, down by 10.
Daniel Rivera coming through. What do you know about Daniel Rivera,
I know
Sean?
his stats right now. He's batting 1,000, on base of 1,000, slugging of 1,000, and OBP of 2,000. That's a great way to start it right there.
It is.
But I don't know much about him. I know he's from a smaller school, but he's coming here and he's had 2 plate appearances and has had 2 great showings. So maybe he'll get another chance. Maybe he'll get a starting chance soon.
Yeah, how about Drew Bowser? Drew Bowser, he's a big, strong guy, and he did have a slower start, but he's been putting much better swings on the bat lately for Y-D, and he had a great year at Stanford in California, same state that you're in. I'm not sure if you knew about him when you were at college at all, but what'd you know about Mr. Bowser?
Stanford is a Northern California school, and I'm a Southern California kid, but he actually grew up in SoCal.
Yeah, Harvard-Westlake, right?
That's a powerhouse
Peter
school
Crow
down west.
Armstrong.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jack Flaherty.
here's a great story. I
As
remember
a
my
Mets fan,
sophomore.
what can you tell me about Peter Crow Armstrong?
I don't know anything quite yet, but let me tell you this little quick story. I remember my freshman or sophomore year, I had a friend playing on varsity for a rival high school, and they were playing Harvard Westlake. And that year was 2011 or 2012, one of the two. And at that point, the rotation for the team was Lucas Giolito, a current White Sox ace.
Max Fried.
Max Fried, current Braves ace.
And Cardinals.
In relief, the young kid, Jack Flaherty, the current Cardinal
ace, yes.
And he got to face Lucas Giolito throwing 100 miles per hour in high school. And I've never seen a more dominant outing of my entire life than watching high school kids watch 100 miles per hour blow by them. Including my friends.
I mean, how did that high school team ever lose? They had Giolito, Flaherty, and Max Fried, three aces who have all won over 20 games at the major league level, all on one high school staff.
If I remember correctly, from that year, Giolito blew his arm out. He didn't pitch his senior year. He actually blew his arm out, and they lost that playoff game when the other pitcher was pitching. If I remember correctly, that's so many years ago.
But Bowser coming from the same school, and
it's a powerhouse.
He was a highly recruited player, had a great year hitting over 300 at Stanford. So he's a solid player to watch out for, and definitely a pro prospect just because of his big old size and the way he can put a jolt into the baseball.
And basically, you can't have a more polar opposite Red Sox between Drew Bowser and now Crew Robinson coming from the JUCO ranks.
Yes.
Uncoveted player out of high school. Nubs one left side. Could be a tough play for James. Flips it to second in time. Side retired. At the end of 7, Y-D down by 10. Some ground to make up. We head to the 8th. 12-2, Wareham. Back here on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network, and the blink of an eye, that's it. Mercy rule, potentially. And Scott Pickler, the head coach for Y-D, asking for mercy as Y-D falls 12-2, their second 10-run loss in their past 5 games. And at this point, it's becoming a habit for the Red Sox at the worst time. That'll wrap it up for us on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. This time, we'd like to thank, though, Sean Ward, liaison.
Thank you very much, Brad and Will, for having me.
You carried us for, 3 innings?
Yeah.
I had a great time here. Those 3 innings flew by. I have never had more fun here at the ballpark. That's not true. I love it here every day. But I did really enjoy my time here.
You were spotting us. We were struggling on the bench press, and you came up and spotted us.
Yeah. You put me in the spot, though, with the home run call on Cade Hunter.
Yeah,
I've never done that before.
You called it. That's fine.
I was stuttering. I was nervous. I had no idea what to do there.
It's so hard to say what you see. I understand.
Oh, it's so hard. It really is, actually, though. Your guys' job is incredible, and everyone listening, these two are amazing, so please give them praise.
Are you sure about that? Because you've been saying that for a little while. Hey, Brad and Will, you're easy to listen to, and then you just hop on the broadcast and you carry us for 3 innings.
Well, listen, my mom hi Mom, loves the broadcast, so she loves you too very much. So that's my reference, and since she loves it, I assume you guys are awesome.
Well,
okay,
we
that's good enough
appreciate
for me.
we appreciate
Seal of approval
her
from
watching.
Mama Ward.
Yeah.
That's actually what I call her too. Mama Ward's the correct name.
Thanks, Mama Ward.
Mama Ward, Papa Ward, watching at home, and Y-D. Not easy to watch right now. Down 10. 12-2 is your final, but the Red Sox have a chance at redemption on the road against Harwich in their pursuit of second place of the CCBL playoffs. May be done, mathematically still possible. And Y-D on the road at Howich, as the locals say.
Howich.
6:30 White House Field, but be with us at 6:20 for the pregame show right here on the Y-D Red Sox Baseball Network. For Sean Ward and Will Connerly, I'm Brad Klein signing off from Red Wilson Field.